Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. If you are watching this recording from home, just a reminder that we are now meeting every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and we encourage you to join these live. It's just an opportunity for you to come and meet the team. You're welcome to lurk. You're welcome to provide feedback with any of the Carvel tools or bring up any discussion items or anything you might need help with from the Carvel tool suite. The maintainers are here to help and listen to what you have. If you do have anything you wish to discuss with the team in one of these live meetings, we ask that you put that down here in the discussion topics area, and we will get to it once we go through all the other items in the agenda. If you aren't able to attend these meetings live, we are on Slack and Twitter, so you can find the maintainers there and bring any discussions items or anything you might need help with to the Kubernetes Slack workspace within the Carvel channel. If you aren't a member already of the Kubernetes Slack workspace, you just need to request an invitation to gain access, and we have that link here in the agenda. We're also found on Twitter, and it's at Carvel Dev. We ask that you read and abide by our code of conduct when you attend these meetings, and also input your name and any organization that you represent when you attend these meetings. That's a way for us to keep track of who from the community outside of VMware is attending, and we can keep those lines of communication open. Moving on to announcements. We have image package 0.15. Dennis, do you want to give an overview of this?
Yeah, sure. So 0.15.0, when you run the pull command and you give it an image index, it's going to error out saying you can't do that. But you can give it the exact SHA of an image that's being referenced by the image index. And then there's a few bug fixes around copying. Now you can copy an image index completely. Before it wouldn't copy an image index completely. We just copy a single image referenced in the image index. And also when you pass in the registry insecure flag and you're running against an insecure registry, it actually will work. It won't error out saying unable to connect to this registry, essentially. That's basically it.
Great, thanks, Dennis. Next, we have kapp-controller release. Who from the team wants to go over this one?
I can discuss it. So in version 22.0 of kapp-controller, there was a pretty significant bug fix for allowing annotations to be part of package custom resources. So for those who have upgraded to using the package management APIs that have been provided in version 0.20, our way of basically supporting overlays as part of packages is to specify annotations on the package CRs themselves. But due to the original implementation, there were issues for annotations being part of the CRs themselves that was causing error messages that can be sort of pointed out in the PR itself. So it's generally recommended that if you have started using the package management APIs at this point to upgrade to this version for that fix. There were also some other minor updates here where the version of the Mozilla SOPs dependency that we're using for templating has been upgraded to the latest version, which is 3.7.1. And it also includes some better error messaging that's associated when problems happen with using SOPs for templating. And the last addition is that due to some issues that were opened up around needing to safely store proxy URLs with credentials, as part of the actual configuration for starting up the controller itself and configuring certain aspects of running kapp-controller. We've switched to recommending to use a secret for storing that information, as opposed to the previous only way of supporting it was via a config map. So this should hopefully allow users to store that information in a more secure way. So those are all the additions that were added in 0.22.
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, next on the announcements, just a reminder to register for the Spring One workshop. It's Carvel, the Kubernetes Swiss Army knife. That workshop is virtual and it's on Thursday, September 2nd at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. All you need to do is click on that link and follow the instructions on how to register for Spring One and for this particular workshop. All right, on to status updates. Pulled some things from last week's meeting just to get some updates there. Joe, I know that you had been working on the Katacoda workshop. Do you have any update there?
Sure. So it's technically live, that Katacoda tutorial, and the boss and I did a bunch of work yesterday to so we have one kind of branch sitting for our website that has the blog post. It has a little announcement banner. It has links to the Katacoda tutorial, and it also has sort of the Katacoda tutorial content as a one-pager. And we just went over the blog post again with Dimitri, and so we're basically, I think a good outcome of this meeting would just be to have a timeline with you and everyone else of like when would we like all that content to actually go live.
Yeah, Vivas and I touched base on it just a moment ago. It sounds like things should be merged soon. I think we're expecting that to happen today. And just for those that are watching the recording itself, can you go over what to expect from that tutorial?
Oh yeah, it'll cure your asthma. World peace. So it's an interactive tutorial. It starts with basically a Katacoda stock Kubernetes 1.18 image. It gives you some basic, like, here's the kind of curl commands to install the necessary Carvel tools and bootstrap your way into using kapp-controller. And then here's a demo of authoring a package and pushing it to a repository, and then pretending that you're also the consumer of your own package and installing it back into your Kubernetes cluster.
Awesome. That's really cool. Thanks, Joe, for working on that. Okay, moving on to the triage process docs. Aaron, I know that you've been working on this.
Yeah, it got merged in yesterday. So appreciate everyone's feedback on this. You know, again, this is just like the current iteration. So as we try out this new process, well, it's not a new process, but it's an updated process. I think the most noteworthy additional step to issue triaging is trying to take a first pass at prioritization. So that's detailed in the process itself or in this document. But yeah, thanks for everyone's help, and looking forward to just continuing to make this process work well for us.
Great, thanks, Aaron. And if y'all from home watching this, you want to review this and provide feedback, we would really love to hear from you. This document can be found in the processes directory on the main Carvel repo. So after reviewing it and you have any feedback you wish to provide, please feel free to send us a Slack message or find us on Twitter or within GitHub itself. We would love to hear from you. All right, onwards to the project roadmap. I put a couple of things in here for August. I know this particular one isn't updated, but the two items, private registry authentication. Is the team currently working on that? And if so, any updates there?
I would say at this moment, we're still in the design phase. For the most part, we haven't like started on the work yet, but it's more in the design / planning. We'll likely start this in, I guess, a couple of weeks. I guess just a general heads up, many folks will be out next week. So any responses in GitHub or Slack may be delayed a bit, but I know some of us at least will be checking in throughout the week to try and nudge things forward. But yeah, this private registry authentication work likely get started in a couple of weeks, and we need to figure out firmer kind of timelines, but I would probably currently estimate it to be around September.
Okay. The next thing was the export YTT schema as open API schema. I did see that it was moved from August to September. Any updates there?
Yeah, this track I think is in a similar state. I think, part of the reason for some of these timeline adjustments have been, folks taking time off and us trying to just like generally clean up things that are in flight. So trying to land more items versus starting more things. But yeah, worked with Carrie on this. Carrie will be leading this track, and still just kind of like working through scoping and polishing the stories, but planning to start this in August as well.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. And is there anything outside of the roadmap here that the team is currently working on for this week?
I guess, there was the getting the version of kapp-controller, making that easier to surface. I think there's a solid draft on that, and it turns out we actually have two different release distribution processes, and we're still figuring out what's the right way to slide that information in so that it's in both release processes, but ideally not in a development build, so that development builds look like development builds and don't get tagged as releases. So I think that'll remain in flight, and I'll make sure that lands soon-ish.
I've also been working on a K-build story this week. It's still in progress, but what that involves is when you're using K-build to resolve images and storing that resolved image mapping from like an image digest to or an image tag to an image digest, when you store that in a lock file, just persisting the metadata around what the image tag was, so that if you use K-build with other tools like kapp, you can actually get that annotation into your Kubernetes cluster to see what the digest image that's deployed in your cluster, what tag corresponds to that. So it's just an easier way to get that mapping. It's currently still in progress.
Actually, I would call out one more quick win in kapp-controller. We did slide in the stretcher testify testing library. So I think that does honestly lower the bar slightly. Anyone who would be looking to enter kapp-controller, the exciting field of kapp-controller development, could now do so with familiar assertion in their unit test.
Great, thanks, Carrie and Joe. Is there anything else from the backlog that folks are working on that was not mentioned in which to share? Okay. Moving on to discussion topics. Nick, looks like you got a couple of items in here. I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Yeah, so the last time I said, just wanted to get a little bit more involved, so met with Joe, I think it was on Monday, and, basically gave him an overview of how we use the Carvel tool set on our project and the process that we go through, using each one kind of leading into the other and, deploying packages out to clusters. So I think it was, I don't know, it was good to, go through that process. Joe, I think you got a lot out of it. At least you got this.
Super helpful, and I appreciate the tour. And I guess I'll highlight, I think in particular what I saw is in Nick's use case was a couple of places where he's like, well, so if you, for instance, follow a tutorial on kata, you're just going to pipe YTT to kbuild to cap, and it's all going to work the first time. And what I saw Nick doing was like, oh, well, first I run YTT, alone so that I can debug. And then I have these other steps, and actually, up some of the custom resources or the YAMLs to define the CRs, that's not always trivial. So actually some of that is even scripted. So I thought that was really cool to see everything in motion. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was, I think it was a good time and a good introduction for Joe, and I guess good for me as well. So, yeah.
And you got some good first issues to work on.
Okay, so on to the second discussion topic. I did cruise through. I didn't go through all the tool suites because I figured I didn't want to bombard myself with too much, but I just looked at cap and kapp-controller and image package, and I don't know, I just thought I'd find or see what the good first issues were, and there's not a lot, but I thought that I don't know, there might be one or two in there that I could probably tackle myself. Something like in kapp-controller, there's something about removing multiple log lines for installed packages. I don't know, that seemed like it might be an easy thing, or update some documentation and image package. So I don't think there's been any recent activity on the one from kapp-controller. It's pretty old, it's probably low priority, perfect place for someone that doesn't know anything to try something out, I suppose. So I was thinking about just, picking up one of those and dropping a PR at some point.
Awesome. Well, it's super exciting to have you participate in that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd also like to toss out is another item of discussion. I thought I had found a bug in kapp-controller this week, and so I put it into the Slack channel, and it turns out it was not a bug in kapp-controller, but it was more so, I guess, kind of a bug in Contour, because we were installing, it was a problem with the Contour package, like the package installed, but kapp-controller was basically saying that no, that the reconcile is failing, and so it appeared that the installation didn't actually succeed. But as far as Contour was concerned, everything was running just fine. Pods were running, jobs were running. but is what was happening is that there was a job, and kapp-controller was expecting the job to be there, but the job was like just finishing so fast. It would like start up, run, disappear, and Cap never saw that it was, actually completing successfully. So it flagged the installation sort of is, failing. And it was actually, I think, pretty good, because it was like a combination of Carvel and my team and the Contour team, all kind of working on it, and figured out, oh yeah, like we need to, when Contour deploys, it runs this job just once, but because of how kapp-controller is deploying things and constantly taking things through a reconciliation loop, this job is getting kicked off again and again and again. So the solution was basically to, what was it? Honestly, I forget what the solution was off the top of my head, but it had something to do with basically, in a package deploy of Contour, it's like, don't make it, look for this job. So, so I think it resolves the problem. And yeah, it was kind of cool just to see all three teams come together and, fix something like that.
Yeah, it's a prime example of why open source is so great, when you can all come together, even though you're all working on different projects or from different companies. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Dennis, I know you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say, to Nicholas on the previous topic, when you were looking for issues for image package, a good first issue, you mentioned documentation. I think that's a good first one as well. But I just wanted to say, if you wanted to also pair or work together on finding a good first issue, discussing it, and then like Matt can give you some pointers as well in terms of how we can maybe work on it. Like that's an option as well. I can, you can just catch up on Slack and just find a pairing, like a Zoom session to work on that, if that's going to be helpful to you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the offer.
Great, thanks, Dennis. Okay, doesn't look like there's any more discussion topics. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up? Nope. Okay. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining today. Again, if you're watching this from home, we would love to have you join us live. We meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. And if you aren't able to join us, just follow us on Slack in the Kubernetes Slack workspace, in the Carvel channel, or on Twitter at Carvel_dev. We would love to meet with you and hear how you're using the tools. Great. Thank you.